Hey everyone, and welcome. Let's dive into a situation that honestly happens in schools all the time. It's a story about a teacher with really good intentions, a dedicated professional who is causing a kind of subtle harm that's just so hard to pin down, let alone fix. And this one sentence from a child just gets right to the heart of it all. It's such a quiet thing to say, isn't it? But it says so much about feeling invisible, feeling singled out in the one place you should feel totally safe. So, who's the he in this sentence? Well, let's meet Mr. James. He's a teacher who's been doing this for a long time, and he's got a great reputation for running a tight ship. His classroom is organized, disciplined, but under that professional surface, something else is going on, a pattern that's causing some real pain for a few of his students and their families. Okay, so let's take a closer look. I mean, on paper, Mr. James looks fantastic. 18 years in the game, a reputation for being disciplined but organized. He's that no-nonsense teacher that, let's be honest, a lot of parents hope their kid will get. But as we're about to see, this profile is really only half the story. So what's really going on? Well, it's not one big dramatic incident. It's more like a slow drip, a pattern of these little negative interactions that a number of Black and South Asian families have started to notice. Their kids feel like they're always the ones getting told off for tiny things, the ones who never seem to get the rewards, the ones who just feel, well, ignored. And the words the parents are using are really telling, aren't they? Polite but cold, strict but inconsistent. There's a huge disconnect here. So the question is, how do we get to the bottom of this without just pointing fingers and making someone the bad guy? This is where we need a different kind of tool. Think of it less like a hammer for assigning blame and more like a mirror to help us understand the why behind all of this. And that tool is the 6 Stages Framework, or SSF for short. It's designed for these exact kinds of tricky situations. It helps us dig into the personal history, the beliefs, and the unexamined biases that shape how we all interact with people who are different from us. It's kind of like a roadmap for becoming more inclusive. So when we use this framework, we can see Mr. James is likely at what's called stage +1, or emerging awareness. This is such a critical stage. It's where you see that differences exist, but your core belief is that the absolute fairest thing you can do is treat everyone exactly the same. And well, that well-meaning philosophy can really backfire. And this is where it all just clicks into place, you know? Look at the gap here. Mr. James genuinely, 100%, believes he's being fair and professional. His motto is, "I treat all children the same." But the impact on these students is the total opposite. They don't feel treated the same. They feel singled out, misunderstood, and totally disconnected. And that's the heart of the problem at stage +1. To get to the why behind that gap, the SSF asks us to look at this concept it calls the cave of privilege. Now, this isn't about money or being fancy. It's about the kind of unearned comfort that comes when your own identity is just seen as the default, the norm. So, for Mr. James, what does that look like? His cave is basically the comfort of sameness. His whole life, the way he grew up, his friends, his neighborhood, it's all been predominantly white and middle class. And because his culture is the norm everywhere he looks, he's never had to stop and think of it as a culture. To him, it's just normal. And that makes it really hard to see that his normal isn't everyone's normal. And this is where it all comes from. These are the lessons he learned without even realizing he was learning them. He was taught that you just don't talk about race. It's impolite. He learned that being colorblind was the right and moral thing to be. In his world, a good kid was a quiet kid, a compliant kid. Anything different was just disruptive. These aren't evil beliefs. They're just unexamined ideas from his past that are now running the show in his classroom. Okay, so we've kind of diagnosed the problem. Now what do we do? And this is key. It's not about punishing a teacher. It's about building a system that supports his growth while at the same time making sure those kids are emotionally safe. And that takes everyone working together. So for Mr. James, the head teacher can start by creating a really safe, non-judgmental space for him to reflect, using that SSF framework. Maybe they can pair him up with another teacher who's great at the stuff so he can just observe. They can even give him practical tools, like a simple tracker to see who he's praising and who he's correcting, which can make those unconscious patterns visible. It's all about support, not shame. And for parents, this is a really powerful way forward. Instead of going in with a formal complaint, they can ask for a supportive pastoral meeting. And the language is so important. Using the language of impact, saying, "My child feels singled out," is so much more constructive than the language of blame, "You are targeting my child." They can become partners with the school, asking what systems are in place to make sure every kid feels like they belong. And of course, the absolute #1 priority is safeguarding the kids. But that means we have to expand our idea of what risk is. It's not just about physical safety. It's about protecting kids from the harm of feeling excluded, of facing constant little microaggressions. Simple things, like anonymous student surveys or just making sure every single kid knows there's a trusted adult they can talk to, can make all the difference. So, the whole point of all this, really, is to help Mr. James and anyone who's at stage +1 make one critical shift in their thinking. It's about moving away from the idea that fairness means sameness and towards understanding that real fairness sometimes means treating kids differently based on what they actually need. So, what does that path forward look like in practice? Well, it's pretty clear. Step 1 is just accepting that same isn't always fair. Step 2, you start paying close attention to how your actions are actually landing with different kids. Step 3, you learn to sit with that uncomfortable feeling of noticing your own bias. And step 4, you have to be proactive. You learn, you read, you listen to people with different experiences than your own. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? For Mr. James, his professional neutrality, his idea of not talking about difficult topics like race, well, that wasn't a neutral act at all. It was a choice that kept everything the same, a system where some kids felt seen and others felt totally invisible. And breaking that silence, that's the first step toward any real change. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Mr. James is a teacher, sure, but this same dynamic plays out everywhere, in our jobs, in our communities, even in our own families. So where in your world might that well-intentioned idea of treating everyone the same actually be creating an unfair, unequal experience for somebody else?